Alright, hello. You're watching Louis Vuitton. The reason you're seeing me now is because the other day I was doing a segment and I got about two-thirds of the way through and the stream crashed. So I decided I can't upload what I've already got. I've got to finish it off. So just offline recording, I'm going to cover that third part that I was covering on the stream. So this segment's going to be a recurring one that I present on stream. The idea is that I want to explore different aspects of masculinity. I want to talk about what's hot about being a man and what's not. So, to open with, I decided I'd explore the relationship between masculinity and self care. Now, there's three aspects of self care that I was talking about on stream and in this video. The first is the relationship that how self-care relates to men's physical aspect, how they look after themselves in terms of the purely physical form. The second aspect that I talked about is the relationship of self-care with men and looking after themselves appearance-wise, how much we let men express, or how much the construct of masculinity lets men express themselves appearance-wise, but also how they look after themselves in terms of cleanliness, grooming, and such. Now, the third part, which is what I'll be exploring in this offline part, is the I guess like the mental and emotional aspect of self-care. You know, perhaps what people traditionally think of when they hear the words self-care. So I will be recording that part today, and after this cuts, you'll see what I presented on stream the other day, part 1 and part 2, and then I'll be back in a minute to cover part 3. Now, also for the first two parts of this segment, the stream is already experiencing issues, so I was not on camera. So, there's still audio, and I've got like a video placeholder. So there'll be that. Cover the first two parts, and then you'll come back to me for the third. All right. So see you soon. I hope you enjoy. When it comes to the relationship between men and fitness, physical prowess, in terms of men looking after themselves physically, that is absolutely encouraged in just about every sense, every cultural, historical sense of masculinity. Men have always been encouraged to be physically fit. There's a lot of, I guess, historical connotations relating to that drive. Some people make the argument about how men need to be protectors and guardians of a household. There's a huge competition aspect of men and fitness, so you have to be physically fit to compete with, not just in a professional sense, but also with your peers. Masculinity is very driven towards competition between men and their peers. So, when it comes to this aspect of self-care, I think that mostly it's a good thing. No, I'll say that. It is mostly a good thing. Because within our each individual capacity, we should strive to be healthy. That's an aspect of masculinity which I think should be, which we should keep and we should cultivate. But especially in terms of the competition aspect of the physicality of masculinity, that's something that needs a bit of an overhaul. Healthy competition is good. However, when it comes to masculinity, it really has more of an unpleasant connotation. What we should be striving to do, if we want to keep this aspect of masculinity in terms of the physicality, the physical prowess, and competition, rather than making it a competition between men, we should be making it more of a healthy environment where men can safely compete with each other, and well, really make it about, rather than making it about a competition between, getting past each other, make it more of an uplifting experience. Make it more about people uplifting themselves. So when it comes to men looking after themselves, in terms of the physical sense, that's something, well, we should keep some aspects of it. Because not just in the fitness sense, we also have to think of the other ways that people look after themselves. Alcoholism is encouraged in masculinity. Being able to, well, not only being a person that drinks, but also being a man that can drink a lot, regardless of whether or not you can keep it in. Consumption of a lot of alcohol is encouraged in masculinity. And this isn't healthy. See, we like men to be physically fit, but we encourage aspects of masculinity that are unhealthy. And relating to the physical side of things, there's a danger component, a daredevil component of masculinity. Men performing dangerous stunts or dangerous dares. Well, sure, you have to be physically fit to do that, but the risk is there. In terms of like men taking care of themselves physically, in some ways there's a lot of emphasis. In a lot of ways, there's a lot of risk imposed, which is just how we live in the social construct of masculinity. So that's at least the physical aspect of masculinity. In terms of what we should keep a healthy drive towards everybody in their own individual capacity, striving towards a healthier version of themselves. And when it comes to masculinity, I think that not only is it possible, but it's something that can really be cultivated. These kind of communities where you have this healthy competition can be really healthy places for men to, well, not only men, everyone. That's the thing. For everyone to strive to do their best. But when it comes to men, a masculine man who's supportive can be a real encouragement, regardless of who you are. If you're in an environment where you're attempting to be more physically fit, that's the kind of environment where a classic dude bro could be a real encouragement. And that's the kind of men that we should want to cultivate. In terms of masculine men, that's the kind of man that we want in this particular setting. When you're in a setting that you're looking to make yourself, in terms of improve your physicality, the kind of masculine men that we want in the environment are those that have that drive towards physical prowess, but in a healthy sense. Where they're not doing it out of a drive for competition, but more so where they're doing it for the benefit of themselves, but also everyone. Where they're there to lift up not just themselves, but lift up everybody. This is at least the physical aspect of masculinity. Now, in terms of the other aspects of in terms of self-care, so we've got the appearance aspect and the I guess mental aspect. In terms of the physical aspect of masculinity and self-care, there's really not much emphasis at all. Hang on, let me see. I think we're looking. Nope. Frame's dropping again. God damn it. Oh well. We tried. Okay. Appearance and masculinity. How it relates to self-care. the level of self care that's impressed upon girls as opposed to boys is to a much higher degree and from a much earlier age. In one of my videos, I talked about how, like, there's really not much concern when it comes to boys and their physicality in terms of their appearance. When it comes to girls, like, the importance of appearance and beauty is impressed upon them well before they reach the age of puberty. Okay, I think we might be in business frame-wise. Alright, come on. It's looking alright on my end. How's it looking on your end? Oh, fuck me. Now it's dropping again. God damn it. Alright, we tried. Alright, anyway. Appearance and masculinity. So, when it comes to looking good and feeling good in your appearance, this is something which is really not encouraged in masculinity. Oh, to anyone who's just joined the stream now, I'm having problems on my end in terms of dropping the frame rates. The audio still seems to be good. However, we're using a video placeholder in the meantime because the picture is just too choppy. So sorry about that. Hopefully I can figure out where the problem's coming from, so it'll be good for next time. Anyway. In terms of cultivating a modern, healthy aspect of masculinity, well, why the hell can't we look good? Why can't we feel good in our own appearance? I mean, I've just since this stream started, I've already had a few people comment on my appearance, and hey, I love Sea of Noise. You should watch my video on libertarians. I love that I can look good and feel good in my appearance. Appearance is a way, for me personally, I've used to express myself for years now. When it comes to expressing yourself physically, for women this is encouraged, but for men, it's really not. Appearance, for men at least, if you're looking good, if your hair's done nice, smelling nice, clean, it's really, in terms of heteronormativity, it's discouraged. Now, I understand this is anecdotal, but hey, I've always enjoyed, oh fuck, what I press? Okay, don't worry. Anyway, getting back to the topic. So, it relates to the fear that's within masculinity between falling outside of hegemonic masculinity, falling outside of heteronormativity. Because, well, self-care of appearance, it really is seen as something that's, because of how much it's impressed upon women, men that take care of themselves appearance-wise have at least in terms of masculinity, have the danger of, being seen as a poof or a fag. So, and this is an unhealthy aspect of masculinity. It's an unhealthy aspect of self-care. We like our men to take care of themselves physically, but not in other ways. That's the problem. In terms of creating a new, modern, healthy masculinity, men should be encouraged to take care of themselves appearance-wise. If we want to create new, manly men, well, I mean, they need to be showering every day. Because that's the thing. Like, who are we doing that for? Who are men doing that for? Like, women don't need, like, women don't need men's farting and our stinker and our armpit sweater. So who are we not washing for? Who are we not applying deodorant for every day? And even, like, like, forget women. Do it for ourselves. I can't go a day without showering. I mean, I shower every day. I wear deodorant every day. There's like, there's aspects of self-care in terms of your appearance that are just ignored in masculinity. Like, skincare is something that is just not even talked about. Men using moisturizer, men using, like a face lotion in the shower or something. And this is something that is just essential, especially for a lot of industries that men dominate, tradesmen especially. Like, tradies, are a lot of the time out of the sun every day, every day, all day. Using their hands a lot. These are the kind of people that need to be taking care of their appearance. I mean, not just mean in the physical sense, but they need to be taking care of their skin, they need to be taking care of their hair. And these kind of people are, especially when it comes to tradies, at risk of skin cancer. And hey, not to mention, if you're out in the sun working at 8, 9, 10, 12-hour shift as a plumber or a sparky, you're gonna fucking stink. Have a shower, take care of yourself. I think the scarcity permeated by capitalism makes male conformity necessary. I mean, that's the thing. That doesn't make any sense. Like, this is, like, in terms of men looking after themselves, that's an untapped gold mine for capitalism. Like, it's just a whole other market that, like, skincare companies and hair care, like, fashion, all of this stuff. This is an untapped market that corporations could be appealing to. So in terms of capitalism perpetuating it, I'm not so sure. Because we see how companies try to sell products to men. Like, they're desperate to sell these products to men. They market them so aggressively. Like, like, if you look at if you're at a supermarket and you're looking at the men's products, like, they're all like, Nivea for men, or it's always for men specifically, or it might be like, Beast brand deodorant, or like the brand of shaving cream, but has like a chopper on it or something. You can see that they're trying to appeal to masculinity. They're desperate to break into that market, and they're doing everything they can to uphold this frame of masculinity. They're doing everything they can to still remain within the confines of masculinity. I think we're in good frame, Rise. So I'll see how that goes. Hopefully we can keep the camera on for the rest. Fuck me, god damn it. Or not. Anyway. Yeah, so in terms of the companies themselves, they're desperate to appeal to men. Like, we have for influences outside the construct of masculinity trying to influence men into changing themselves in terms of like beauty products and such. Well, I mean, I use beauty as like a umbrella term. We have these companies that are clearly trying to appeal to this market. So, I mean, it's not like there's not people trying. I don't know if capitalism is essentially a barrier towards men looking after themselves. And here's the thing. In our modern healthy sense of masculinity, we should be encouraging men to take care of their appearance. This shouldn't be something that's gender specific. And at this point, I'd also like to apologize about the hyper binary language that I'm using. I'm sorry that it's just specifically men, women. Sorry about that. But yeah, we have these influences. If we want to make a healthy masculinity, then we should be focusing on appearance as well. And it goes beyond just looking after yourself. There's other aspects like makeup that aren't addressed. And here's the thing about makeup. Again, this is anecdotal, but a few years ago, I went to a who was it? Napoleon Purdue, and just said hey, this is what I want to do. What can you sell me? And I bought a bunch of products. So now when I go for a job interview or go to some kind of formal event like a wedding, I wear makeup. Nothing fancy, just foundation, powder. The idea is that it just evens out my skin tone. I don't look like this horrible red-faced monster in the placeholder here. It makes my skin tone. It gives my skin tone. It makes it a couple tones darker, so I look a little bit less pale, a little bit less pink. It evens everything out, and it looks nice. And when I'm all dressed up, where I'm going out or whatever, it makes me feel good because I look in the mirror and my appearance it just adds to that. It adds to the look. It adds to the presentability. And I love that. It makes me feel great. Yeah, Bob, exactly right. Calling it eyeshadow war paint, it just feeds into the, how they're trying to market it to men. Oh, it's not makeup, it's war paint. You're not girly for wearing this. You're not a sissy for wearing this. You're not a poof for wearing this. It's not makeup. It's war paint. It's not eyeliner. It's guy liner. And it's so fucking fragile. Get over it, men. Look after yourselves. So hey, if anyone's interested in terms of looking after yourself, what you should be doing is, first off, you should be wearing clean clothes every day, for Christ's sake. You should be showering every day. I myself, when I'm in the shower, I just use regular soap for my body, and I have a specific face scrub for my face. That's it's a men's brand, so it's specific for men's skin. I moisturize twice a day. I moisturize my face twice a day. Both when I get out of the shower in the morning and before I go to bed at night. And that's really just the bare minimum of what you can do. I also moisturize my hands before bed every night because I've worked as a dish pig. So I've had the horror of prune skin, wet hands. So I still, even though I haven't worked in that job for years, I still moisturize my hands every night. And again, that's something that people like tradies should be doing. Tradies should be moisturizing their hands morning and night, moisturizing their necks, their face. This is an aspect of masculinity that we should be looking after. Let me tell you about the intersection of working in an office and having two large white vitiligo patches on my face. I've been asked to dye my hair and wear makeup to appear more normative. Oof. See, that's interesting. See, that's interesting that Sea of Noise. I'm assuming that you're a man. Um, like it's interesting that you as a man would be asked to do that. Um, in terms of like, I don't know, we don't impress self care upon men. So now, when it's an inconvenience, we're asking it of you. And true, I wish more men wore leggings as well. We might have to wear shorts as well over the top, but leggings look really fucking comfy, and I would love to wear leggings. Like I've wanted to buy a pair for years, because they just look comfortable. I haven't got, I don't know, I haven't got. It's not at the top of my priority list, but yeah. Um, in terms of going forward, making like a healthy masculinity, we should be looking after. We should be taking self care to include appearance. You know, try and raise men. Put more of an emphasis on boys to look after themselves, and maybe a little bit less emphasis on girls in terms of looking after themselves. Because hey, there's going to be a whole lot of influence on girls anyway. So if you raise your girls with a little bit less influence, it can't hurt. But in terms of boys and men, normalize looking after yourself. Normalize using moisturizer morning and night. Normalize, for Christ's sake, normalize showering and brushing your teeth. Like, I don't want to assume that all men are doing that because, like, that's just a given for me. But normalize that, and normalize men wearing makeup. Allow men to express themselves in that sense, both in a, like I described, like for myself, more of a subtle, just better presentation sense, and in the colourful sense. If men want to wear, you know, if they want to do a full bake on their face, let them. Because it's an aspect of self care that should be encouraged. All right, so masculinity, self care, in terms of men looking after their mental health, men looking after their emotions. Well, this is probably, I guess, a hot button issue when it comes to masculinity, because when it comes to not even men, but boys, raising boys, we don't teach boys who grow up to be men how to deal with their emotions. Like self care of your emotions, self care of your mental health is not only not discussed in terms of masculinity, but it's actively discouraged. Excuse me. You know, boys are told from a very young age, to suck it up, don't cry. You know, if you show any emotion, if you're too, even if you're too happy, if you're too sad, then you're gay, you're a girl, you're a poof, you're queer, you're a fag, you're a sissy, and that's not healthy. That's not a healthy way to tackle mental health. That's destructive, and it's not just men who suffer from this. From the not addressing these issues, it's everyone. Um, men's mental health. If we solve men's mental health, that's going to solve so many other issues. Like solve, reduce the harm, the impact of harm. Like for instance, addressing men's mental health, giving them the tools that they need to address their emotions, their emotion and mental issues, then like that's going to severely cut down on the rates of family domestic violence, crime, men's suicide. There's a reason that men and women attempt suicide at roughly the same rate, but there's a reason that men succeed in suicide to a much greater degree. Now, this is not to diminish, like this is not to reduce or denigrate, mental health of people that attempt suicide. But due to the construct of femininity, women have much stronger social circles. So when a woman attempts suicide, not to sound insensitive, it's more of a cry for help, because what happens afterwards is very different to what happens when a man attempts suicide. When a woman attempts suicide, generally speaking, women do it with less lethal or less immediate means, such as slashing your wrists or taking pills. When men attempt suicide, they generally choose methods like a gun or hanging or jumping off a high building. These are much more final acts of suicide. Now, there's social explanations for these. The reason that men attempt suicide, like in an actual point of finality, is because men have got to the point where they can't address their emotions, and if they're not taking it out on somebody else, then they have to take it out on themselves, and that's what leads them to committing that final act that is almost guaranteed to end their lives. Now, again, this isn't to like insult or reduce the struggles of women, non-binary, and other gender non-conforming people in terms of their struggles with suicide. But for women especially, it's less about the act itself and more about like, I'm suffering and I don't know how to communicate. Men don't even reach that point. We aren't teaching boys how to handle their emotions, so men grow up. They don't know how to deal with their rage, which is actively encouraged in masculinity. They don't know how to deal with violent impulses. Again, violence is actively encouraged in the construct of masculinity. And when they feel the emotions that every human being feels in terms of sadness, loss, grief, anger, when they're not given the tools to handle that, when they've been told from birth that they need to bottle that up, that that's wrong, that they're weak, and that they don't have the tools to deal with those emotions. They don't know how to reach out, they don't know how to communicate it, and they either end up taking it out on themselves and taking it out on everyone else. Everyone suffers from this. This idea that manly men are stoic, unemotional, just like complete stone-faced, nothing can faze them. That's not a healthy ideal of masculinity. That's not the kind of man that I want to be. That's not the kind of masculinity that I want either myself or other people to look up to and to like idolize when they think of masculinity. So if we're going to talk about creating a modern, healthy sense of masculinity, then it has to be one in which mental and emotional health is dealt with. So let boys cry. Teach boys that it's okay to show their emotion. It's going to be much harder to reach an older generation in terms of like people that have already grown up to adults. They've already experienced the socialization of boyhood to manhood. They've already had all these things communicated to them, so it's wired into their brain. It's going to be a whole lot harder to get them to open up. But in terms of raising a new generation, absolutely. Let boys know that it's fine to cry, it's fine to show their emotions, and not only is it fine, but it's healthy, and it should be encouraged. If you feel like crying, then let it out. You're not weaker for showing your emotions. In fact, it's an act of strength. If you can show your emotions, get it out, ask for support, that's strength. Keeping it to yourself, keeping it bottled in, where you're only going to be torturing yourself and possibly even taking that onto another person, that only does harm. What good comes from that? No one can hold it in forever. So, to summarize, I think that some of the physical aspects of masculinity are healthy. I think that, everyone should strive to be healthy in their own capacity. That said, if anybody, like when I say their own capacity, that's like to the point, if people just want to sit on the couch 24/7, that's fine. If that's their capacity for, like, physical activity, no problem. It's their choice. None of my business. But I think, let's use the kind of gym bro aesthetic. Let's turn that kind of archetype of masculinity into one that's more, rather than a bully competition figure, more of a coach figure. The gratification that one of those gym bros gets from helping another person is going to be much more satisfying than the satisfaction they get from looking down on someone because they beat them like it was nothing. Let's encourage that aspect of masculinity. If you want to be the kind of person that lifts all the time, that's cool. But hey, use what you've known, use what you've learned to help others and encourage others, whatever at whatever stage their journey might be. I think that's an aspect of masculinity in terms of the physical form. If we're looking for a new masculinity, that's something that we can keep and make it in a healthier sense. And it's a good way to appeal to those masculine men who might not like the idea of any kind of new age masculinity. Well, we're not saying that you have to be weak. We're not saying you have to be soft. We're not saying that you have to be fit. But in whatever form your body takes, that's fine. And we like that you're physically fit. But hey, why not help out everyone else? And let me just make clear before moving on to the next bit. Like if like a man does not have to be physically fit. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying like we can utilize this aspect of old masculinity and turn it into a healthy sense. If you want to be thin, if you want to be fat, if you want to like whatever form you come in, that's fine. You do your own thing, and whatever like it's none of my business. Hey, you don't have to be physically fit. That's between you and your medical professional, not a business of mine. In terms of appearance, we should really, I was going to say, encourage boys to look after their appearance the same degree that girls do. But if it almost should be reversed. You should almost encourage, if you have any daughters, encourage your daughters less to look after their appearance than you do your sons. Because, hey, trust me, the world is going to impress upon your daughter to a much greater degree than it does to your boy. So, hey, it might even it out slightly, probably still tip back over, but it'll help. So encourage boys to, look after themselves. Let boys, and especially men, take care of their appearance. Men need to get over the idea that like moisturizers and creams and such are only for girls, because men are outside in the sun just as much as women. In fact, more. Men, like labor-intensive jobs outdoors, like those fields of work are dominated by men. Men, probably, I suppose, like beauty jobs, like modeling and such, are dominated by women. So it's probably to the same degree in terms of like who needs to look after their skin. But we know which gender is looking after their skin more, and it's not men. So tradies, labor workers, everyone in that kind of field, look after your skin. Wear sunscreen, moisturize twice a day, wash your hair, use anti-dandruff shampoo, shower every day, use deodorant every day, wear clean clothes every day, and beyond that, express yourself. Don't, like... I thought one of the aspects of masculinity, old masculinity, is individualism. I thought the idea is that every man is his own man. Well, so it seems to me like, we like men to be, be your own man. But don't be like that. No. Encourage men to not only look after their appearance, but also express their appearance. Let their appearance be a way for them to express their personality. I mean, hey, like, look at me. I couldn't be happier. And then last of all, men's mental health. Oh, just let boys cry. Like, I can't say it more than that. When a boy comes to you crying, don't discourage them. Obviously, like, try and make them feel better, but don't tell them that it's wrong, or that they're weak, or that, they're somehow seen as, later on, less of a man. Because we know where that leads. That leads to, families being split apart. That leads to violent crime. It leads to murder. It leads to rape. When men don't have control of their emotions and they haven't been taught, they can't handle it. And they lash out, and they either hurt themselves or the people around them. Everyone suffers, not just men. So, if you enjoy this segment, this, like I said, this is going to be a segment that's going to be repeated throughout the course of my streams. Not self-care, I've covered self-care, so I'm going to be talking about masculinity and different other aspects of masculinity coming forward. I will say now, and I'll apologise in advance, these segments will have pretty, and you probably already noticed, fairly heavy gender binary language, and that seems to be because so often the construct of masculinity is juxtaposed with the construct of femininity. Now again, like that's not to do try and erase the experience of gender binary and gender non-conforming people, because men's issues aren't just men's issues; they're everyone's issues. So, like, sorry for that in advance, but like, I just want it out there that I acknowledge that you know, victims of the dangerous aspect of masculinity aren't just women. So, if you want to hear more about what I've got to say about different aspects of masculinity, hit the subscribe button, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. I stream every day from 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Join the Discord, it'll be in the description. I am Louis Vuitton, and I'll see you next time.